This one's gonna suck.
Unfiltered and unapologetic. She's in your face like, yeah, bitches, I said it. Authentic heart, honestly, really deceivably. Talking my life and all the betweens. She's Candidly Kasi.
Welcome back to another episode of Candidly Kasi. I am so excited you're here. Today is the 10th episode. So first of all, kudos to me for sticking with it because sometimes I don't. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, listen to that first with Dom and then listen to this one because I'm going to be talking about my process of hearing that and how I've been feeling. And really today is just kind of me talking through my feelings. So I obviously am friends with him. I know his story. I've heard his story. We never really had like an in-depth conversation like we did last week. And hearing him talk about it and have so much accountability and hearing him say how much better he is now and how much happier he is and he's a better father and a better husband and a better friend and all these things, it really made me think about my friend who passed away very recently from addiction. So as he was speaking, if you go back and watch on Spotify, you can see the video. I was having a very difficult time. I obviously was listening, but there were certain points, and you can see it in my face because when I was watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, like certain points I was crying. And I just was thinking about my friend and how I really wished I could hear her say the things that he was saying. And unfortunately, she did not make it through. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Because me as a friend, hearing what he did and what he needed, when I went back and really played over the years of our friendship, I feel that I failed her. And it's been a hard thing to swallow. I felt that way in the beginning, like when I first found out she passed away. I felt just this hollow, gutted, hard to catch your breath feeling. And I just started going back and going through all the things and looking at text messages and going in Facebook and reading messages and trying to piece things together because there were periods of time where we weren't speaking because at the time when this had become a problem, I had just become a mom. I was in the middle of getting a divorce and I was like 23 years old, by the way, way too young to be getting married. I got married at 21. I don't recommend that to anybody. So I had my own stuff going on. Not that I'm making an excuse, but I'm just trying to really set the scene for what was happening. And when she was really in the thick of it, I didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, any of that, because I didn't want it to affect, custody with my daughter and stuff like that. She was also dating somebody at the time who was and is horrible, is still horrible. And that was, a sketchy thing. So I really started thinking about, when our friendship stopped, not that it ever stopped, but when it was on a pause. And it was kind of in and out and what my role in that was. And really hearing him speak, it made me just do a deep dive into this. And it was something that I don't think I was ready for. But here's the story. So I met Lyndsey in preschool. She was absolutely adorable. She was very outgoing. People would describe her as the life of the party. She was always just sunshine, right? All of my grammar school, years, I was at her house. Her house was the fun house. She had an older brother and an older sister. I used to raid her older sister's closet. And Lyndsey would give me her clothes and she would say, here, Sherry doesn't mind, take them, but don't bring them back here. Don't wear them around her. So obviously Sherry didn't know. Sherry had all of these boy band posters in her room, which I wasn't allowed to decorate my room as a kid. It's a whole nother story. We could talk about it another time. but I didn't have any like kid like stuff in there. So when I would go over to her house, and Lyndsey had one of those tents that went on your bed. I don't know if you remember them. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. And we would sit in her tent and I would lay on her bed and I'm like, oh my God, this is just like the coolest thing ever. And then seeing Sherry's room with all the posters and the color and the vibrancy and the comforter, it just was like being on. I would describe when a kid goes to Disney World, like what that feels like. Like that to me was Disney World. I got in lots of trouble over there. Not anything crazy, but just, stupid kid stuff. I would go over there on a Saturday. We would make pancakes. We would make pierogies, mac and cheese, things that I didn't have at my house either. My grandmother always cooked, but she never had like boxed mac and cheese or any type of like instant type of stuff prepackaged. And again, not that's a good thing. That's a good thing to be like that. But, as a kid, I would go over to my friend's house and she would make mac and cheese. And I'm like, oh my God, I love this stuff. It's so good. And I never had pierogies unless I was at her house. I never had them again. We would make pancakes and flip them up. And if they didn't stick to the ceiling, they were good to go. Like we were just doing dumb stuff. She had a Super Nintendo, which I didn't have any game systems. And, I'm over there, I'm playing Mario Kart, I'm eating mac and cheese. It was just fun. We were jumping off of her neighbor's shed. I don't even know how that was happening, but that was happening. And it was fun. It was fun. It was a great time. Like that was my childhood over there with her. That was the main place that I was going. When we hit middle school, it was the same thing. But she became one of the popular girls. I was not. So there was a little bit of a shift, but she never stopped being my friend. Never was like too cool for me or anything like that. But she definitely started hanging out with a more popular crowd. She was a cheerleader. She was beautiful. She just lit the room up. In turn out, like looking back, I was very eccentric, but I was also super fucking weird. And I don't know how much that fit in with people. And that's okay. But like I said, Lyndsey never made me feel like you're not cool enough. When we got to high school and, she was going to more parties or stuff, I didn't do stuff like that. So that's kind of where like, not that we grew apart, but again, at school. This episode is sponsored by Boron. Since 1932, Boron has been dedicated to providing high-quality medicines made from Earth's best resources. As a world leader in homeopathic medicines, they're passionate about sharing sustainable health solutions for the whole family. You can find Boron medicines at retailers nationwide. Learn more at boronusa.com. All right, I want to share something that's been a staple in my routine for almost 2 years now, Primal Queen. These are female-focused beef organ supplements, which might sound a little different, but hear me out. They are packed with some of the most nutrient-dense ingredients you can give your body. We're talking about real, whole food nutrients that support things like energy, hormone balance, skin, hair, and overall vitality, especially during seasons like perimenopause when your body needs the most support. I've started taking them almost 2 years ago, and not only has my skin never looked better, I just feel more supported overall. It's about nourishing your body from the inside out in a way that actually makes sense. If you've been feeling off or just want to level up your wellness routine, this is something to look into. Go to primalqueen.com/Kasi. That's primalqueen.com/KASI and save 25%. Don't overthink it. Your future self will be glad you didn't. Let's talk about one of the easiest wellness upgrades you can make, switching to real high-quality honey. I use Bees and Trees honey every single day, and it's one of those small habits that actually makes a big difference. It's raw, pure, and packed with natural goodness, nothing like the overly processed stuff you find on most shelves. Whether you're adding it to your coffee, tea, or just taking a spoonful, it's a simple way to support your body while enjoying something sweet. And especially if you're focusing on hormone health, energy, and feeling your best overall. What you put into your body matters. This is one of those feel-good staples I always keep on hand. If you want to upgrade your routine, you can get 10% off at checkout with code CaseyDiStefano at beesandtrees.com. That's www.beesandtrees.com and use code KASIDESTEFANO. It's a small change, but it's a powerful one. She was a bridesmaid in my wedding. So we were 21 at that point. Again, don't do that. And it was after that, it was when I had a baby that I'm pretty sure that that's when like things started happening, because that's when I remember it was becoming a problem. Um, and I really pulled away. Like I pulled away. I remember at one point, a mutual friend of ours, her name is Ashley. Shout out to Ashley if you're listening to this. She had asked me at one point if I was open to doing an intervention with her, and I said no, because at that point I didn't feel like, as her friends, if we were doing that, like, what were we going to do? That's how it felt like, and that's why I said no. And that's something that weighs on me today too, because I'm not saying if I had done that anything would be different, but there were definite points in my life where I pulled away, because obviously, if you listened to last week as well, like a lot of things were new to me. I don't drink, I don't do anything. So I don't really understand as much. So I think that was also part of it. And because I didn't know how to help her and it all felt very overwhelming to me, I just pulled back, because that felt easier, which obviously that was the easier thing to do than trying to jump in. And it's not that we had stopped speaking then, because there was in and out periods. She was definitely there when I was pregnant. She was definitely there during all that. The thing about Lyndsey is, it didn't matter what she was going through, what turmoil she had. It didn't matter where she was, because she was going to be there for you. So my grandmother had died. I was 27, hadn't seen her in years from what I can remember. We were at the church, and a lot of my friends did not go, which honestly was mind blowing at the time, because living with my grandmother growing up, that's where everybody was. Like they, were coming there after school and doing things like that. And I felt like those people should have been there, but they weren't. And I remember I was up front and I looked out, and in the back row of the church was Lyndsey by herself. She was sitting there. And I was like, holy fuck. I just couldn't believe. And again, I can't remember how long it had been since we'd seen each other. I know it was quite a while, because I was genuinely shocked that she was there. And when I talked to her afterwards, I said, Lyndsey, I can't believe you're here. And she said, I would never miss this. That's how she was. It just didn't matter. And I feel so guilty, because when I look back, I'm like, could I have done more? And I asked Dom, I asked him the other day, I texted him and I said, hey, I know we didn't talk about this on the podcast, but I have a question. What could your friends or family have done for you during that time when you were like in it the most? And he wrote me back and said, nothing. You have to want it yourself. You have to want to change yourself. Nobody else can do that for you. And I understand that, right? Like the same goes for eating or smoking, things like that. Like you have to want to make that change. So like I get it, but at the same time, I wish I had checked up on her more than I did. So flash forward, there were messages on Facebook and things like that. I moved to Florida 5 years ago. She messaged me. I actually forgot this, but after she passed away, I started going back and just trying to find any kind of communication we had to, like I said, put a timeline together. And she had written me and said, did you move to Florida? And I said, yes. And she said, I would love to come down and visit you. And I said, okay. Okay. And I actually forgot that we talked about that. She never had come down, but she was saying that, right? She was there. When I went back to New Jersey, and I go back and forth, and it was in September, my friend Ashley said, I'm going to, have a couple girls over. Like, let's have you over and Lyndsey and her sister Sherry. And I was like, okay, like that sounds like a great time. I haven't seen Lyndsey at this point in like a long time. I had heard things. I had heard she was doing better. I had heard she wasn't doing better. I always heard rumblings of things, but she was on an upswing at this time. So she came and we talked. We talked about everything. We talked about perimenopause and how our bodies are changing and how it sucks and everything hurts and, gaining weight. And we talked about being little and just all the dumb shit we did. And it was it was just nice to talk about that stuff. And then she said something that absolutely blew my mind. So when I was younger, I told you guys already, I had mentioned that I was molested. Okay. So this was a thing, and I didn't really even remember it until I was like in 8th grade. I know that sounds crazy, but you can block stuff out. So I really had like blocked this out, um, to the point that I almost thought I was crazy. Like, I know it happened, but my family also know it happened, and nobody talks about it. And it kind of is like it didn't happen at that point because it's kind of like a hushed thing. And because of that, even being in therapy, I almost doubt myself. And I know, again, I know this sounds fucking crazy, but it's like, maybe I'm nuts. I don't know, right? So I'm sitting there with Lyndsey, and she doesn't know any of this shit. She doesn't know I'm in therapy. She doesn't know how I'm feeling. She knows nothing. And I don't remember how this came up, but she said to me, I remember when you were in 1st grade and you told me what was happening. You were molested. Obviously, I didn't use those words because I didn't have them in 1st grade. I didn't know what that was, but I knew something was happening. When she said that, I was floored because without her knowing what she was doing, she just gave me closure on something that was so open-ended, and I probably would have gone the rest of my life questioning myself. Again, already knowing that it happened, like I can recall very well now. I try not to. So by her saying that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even know that I talked about it with anybody at that point. Like I had no idea. I thought that it like came to me, like I said, when I was in 8th grade, I really don't want to talk about how it came to me because that's terrible too. Maybe one day I will, but when it came to me, I didn't remember telling anybody, like obviously, right? So when she said that, it felt like a gift. It really did. It felt like, and I didn't tell her. I did say to her, I think I said, I can't believe you're saying this, or I can't believe it, because I really couldn't, but I never expressed to her how much that meant for me. And first of all, that she fucking remembered that. Again, we are 43 years old. Go back to 1st grade. What were we? 7? I mean, the fact that she remembered that, and the way she said it was with such compassion, and because that's how she was, and it really, it like fucked me up in a good way, if that makes sense. The next morning I had called Ashley and I was talking to her about it. I should have called Lyndsey. I should have called Lyndsey and said to her, thank you so much. I never did, and I don't know why. So that was September 9th. I had gone back to New Jersey in November. We were supposed to get together. I was only there for 2 days. We were going to try to get together again because we had such a good time. And Lyndsey didn't show up. And I didn't text her and say, I don't think any of us did, me or Ashley, like, hey, are you coming? Hey, are you okay? Because I felt like I didn't want to put any pressure on her because she was doing so good. And I didn't want her to feel bad or feel like I'm being needy, or, because first of all, if I don't want to go somewhere, I don't want people fucking bothering me. Right. So like, I just didn't want to be a nudge or a nuisance or anything like that. So I just was like, okay, she's not coming. She's not coming. And then she died a month later. I mean, and for so many things, again, if I didn't see her in September and she did not say this to me, which she didn't have to, but she recalled it and said it, I would not have what I have now. Again, closure on something that I almost convinced myself I was crazy on. And I just wish I had said to her how much that meant to me. I really, really regret that. That's one of the hardest things I'm having because, like I said, it felt like a gift, and I should have said to her, thank you. And I didn't. And I don't know why. I think because in the moment I was shocked and I really couldn't process it. And then the next day I talked about it. I have regrets. Okay. We did talk about how we had this best friend, or friends forever, locket. Remember, like, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. Like, you go and you buy the two halves and then they, whatever. And it said Friends Forever. And there was a purple flower on one and a pink flower on the other. And I said, I still have mine. And I couldn't find it. It's something like I've moved, I think, 16 times in my life. On another episode, we will talk about that because I actually wrote this chart down because it was crazy how much I moved. I had this thing with me every move. I got rid of so much stuff. I got rid of my yearbooks, which I was fine getting rid of my yearbooks. But when she passed away, I was like, I wish I had seen what she wrote in there. I wish I had those pages. Like, I wish I had those words. I got rid of so much stuff and I kept this with me this whole time. And when she passed away, I couldn't find it. And I was going crazy because it was one of those things that, do you ever have something where you're like, oh, but there it is, and you put it back wherever it was, and then another time it kind of pops up and you're like, oh, there it is. I couldn't find it. It was like gone. And I was like, oh my God, I know I have this thing. This is driving me crazy. It was really bothering me. I was scrambling to find pictures of us. And I was at the point where I'm like, I must have gotten rid of it, which I didn't really believe, but nothing else made sense. And I was at my desk like a couple days later and I opened up my drawer and it was sitting right there. If you're looking, you can see it on the video. It was right there. Okay. And on the little petal at the very bottom, there's a speck of pink. I had the pink flower. And of all the things I got rid of from my childhood, and I got rid of a lot, this stayed. And I will never get rid of that. And I've, I had those with other people. They're gone. I've had this. So hearing Dom talk and going through, hearing it, and I just was like, man, I wish I did more. I wish I did more. I wish when Ashley called or messaged me, I believe it was Facebook Messenger years and years ago, I wish I had said yes for the intervention. I wish I wasn't so wrapped up in my life and my divorce and my drama and my single momhood at the time. And I wish I had focused on her more. I wish I had been the friend to her that she was to me. And I'm only telling you this because if any of you, I know what Dom said, and I know he said it doesn't matter, but if any of you are going through this with somebody, don't do what I did. Because it really doesn't feel good. And I wish that, I just wish I did it different. I also, I didn't make it up for the funeral because I'm in Florida and I couldn't do it. And I was watching the video that everyone put together and it was so beautiful. And I was able to see so many of those pieces that I missed out on of her living life, her with her nieces, her with her family, her laughing, her going out. And I just was watching and I'm like, man, like she looked so happy through so much of it. She did. And it's hard. I know nothing is done on purpose. I know it's like, man, it's just fucking hard. I just wish we could go back and do it all over again. And maybe it would be the same outcome. I don't know. I know that I would try a hell of a lot harder. My stepfather passed away when he was 39 years old. I was 15. And I remember everyone saying, he's so young, he's so young. And I really didn't have a context because, when you're a kid, everybody over the age of like 20 is a fucking dinosaur, right? 25 especially. And I was hearing it and I got it. He was young, but I didn't get it, right? When I hit 39, I was like, oh my God, this is when Bob died. He was 39 years old. Like, this is crazy. And to think she was 43, 4 years after that age, and she's gone. And I can't wrap my brain around it. And I know things happen. There's a lot of people I went to school with that are no longer here. I actually think the number is crazy. Um, God, I think it's crazy and it's sad. And I don't even know what the point of me saying this to anybody. I really don't. I just felt like I had to because I've been thinking about this every day since I had the conversation with him. I couldn't even edit the episode. It took me so long because I kept crying through it because it just, I just, first of all, I'm so proud of him. Okay. I wish she could have had the experience that he had where he got to the other side and sees what life could be and what life is. And she just didn't get there. And I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. I mean, if somebody would have told me when I was a kid, your friend is going to die in her very early 40s. Like, what? No, she's not. We're going to die when we're old and we're in our 90s. And our tits are sagging down to our belly button. And we have a whole bunch of stories to tell. And we get to look back on our childhood and laugh at how stupid we were. That's what we're going to do. And we're not. And again, it's also hard because, I've had other friends that did drugs. I'm not going to say the person's name, but one person I think I was 21 or 22, and this person got thrown out of their house because they were using, and they had said, they're on the up and up. They're not using, they're doing so much better, and their parents just don't believe them, and can I please stay with you? And I was like, yeah, you can stay on the couch. And I woke up the next morning and half of my shit was gone and all of the money in my wallet was gone. And that was pretty much my experience with, drugs. That was my like, holy fuck, I'm never doing this again moment. So then when she was having issues, it was after that point, and I was just like, I was so no. And I can't compare. It's apples and oranges. They're two different people. She never did stuff like that. She was just hurting herself. She wasn't doing it to anybody else. And I feel guilty for that because I was comparing her to somebody that wasn't her. When that person also passed away years and years and years ago, it was kind of that feeling of you weren't surprised because that's kind of just how it was going. With Lyndsey, she got better and I believed she was better. So then when she wasn't all of a sudden, and maybe it wasn't all of a sudden, I didn't see it. So it was like, what the fuck? I just saw her. And it's eating me up inside. I really don't know what else to say. I will tell you this. I'm not going to talk about this every week. I don't want this to be about addiction. I really want this to be, like I said, motherhood, menopause, mental health, marriage, all those things. This is encompassing that, in that, but I'm also not equipped to give anybody advice. So I don't want to speak out of ignorance. So I just felt like I had to do this because, like I said, if you are actively going through this, maybe just reach out and say, how are you doing? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Because I didn't, and man, does this feel like shit. Okay, ladies, I want to talk about something that completely changed my life, and I don't say that lightly. If you're in your 30s or 40s and suddenly feeling off, low energy, mood swings, anxiety, not sleeping, weight changes, and you're wondering what the heck is happening to me,
it might be perimenopause. I've been a patient with MIDI Health for almost 2 years now, and it was the first time I actually felt heard, understood, and taken seriously. They specialize in perimenopause and menopause care, and they create personalized treatment plans, so you're not just guessing or being told this is normal. For me, getting the right support made a huge difference in how I feel day to day. And now I'm actually a proud ambassador because I truly believe more women need to know this kind of care exists. This is truly women's health. You don't have to just push through and feel miserable. If you've been struggling and not getting answers, go check out MIDI Health at www.joinmidi.com and see what's possible for you. Let's talk about something nobody really wants to talk about, but we all deal with: gut issues. If you're feeling bloated, sluggish, or just not as regular as you'd like, it can throw off your entire day. That's where Inalax comes in. It's designed to support healthy digestion and help keep things moving gently and effectively without that harsh, uncomfortable feeling you get from a lot of other options. When your gut is working the way it should, everything else just feels easier. Your energy, your mood, your overall vibe. So if your body's been giving you signs, this might be something worth trying. Head on over to www.inalax.com and save 25% when you use code Kasi at checkout. That's INULAX.com and code KASI. Go take care of your gut. You'll feel the difference. Okay, if you have celiac or even just gluten sensitivity, this is something you need to know about. Eating out or trying new foods can be stressful because no matter what anyone says, you never really know if something is truly gluten-free. That's why I use Nema. It's a portable gluten tester that lets you actually check your food before you eat it. And as someone with celiac, that peace of mind is everything. Instead of guessing or hoping for the best, you can feel confident about what you're putting in your body and avoid getting sick from hidden gluten. It's one of those tools that just makes life easier and takes away so much of the anxiety around food. If you want that extra layer of protection, head on over to nemanow.com and use code Kasi at checkout to save 15% off. That's NIMANOW.com, code KASI. Trust me, once you have it, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it.
Next week, I'm going to be talking about breast implant illness, which is something that I had. I'm also, when this is being recorded, I have a big appointment coming up, and I will have confirmation if what I think is happening is going to happen. So on the next episode, I should be able to tell you, like, yeah, I have great big news for myself, or no, I don't. And it's aligned with having breast implant illness. So I think that that would just be a great episode to hold that information off until, and also, like I said, I don't have concrete answers right now if this is going to work out. Excuse me. I really hope it does, because this would just be life-changing for me, like life-changing. This would be life-changing. And it has nothing to do with money. It's just, this would be life-changing. So yeah, on that sad note, if you are listening to this and you have any sort of advice or anything, please comment or message me or text me if you have my, whatever it is, because I feel like I'm in uncharted water right now, and it is, I feel like a hollow feeling in my chest. That's how it feels. There's like an open wound in my chest. And that's that. So anyway, again, thank you for listening. I'm sorry this one was kind of dark, and it is what it is, because that's fucking life, I guess, right? I appreciate all of you, and I will see you next Tuesday for breast implant illness, which actually sucks, but the way I tell it, it's going to be funny. Bye.
It's Candidly Kasi. No time for the fakes, be Candidly Kasi.